So, move. This is the outline of my presentation. I will touch on Agile Treasury action during the crisis that's related to my department, and then some lesson learned that we can have from this crisis. Okay, before we go further, allow me to brief a little bit background on COVID-19 in Malaysia and what the government respond to it. The first COVID-19 cases was reported in Malaysia is on January 2020. Short after that, government Malaysia begin the containment measures in result of rapid spreads of disease, and the government of Malaysia implement Movement Control Order (MCO) on starting March 2020 under the Prevention and Control of Infectious Disease Act. And combating the pandemic COVID-19 prolonged, and the MCO announced was extended, and then it is switched between the Conditional Movement Control Order and Recovery Movement Control Order along 2020 and 2021. And then it is the conditional and the recovery control order is meant for is a measures to limit to the limited movement, to allow some limited movement at the some area that less risk to balance up actions to control the disease and also the requirement on the economic stability. And until 1st June 2021, Malaysians entered the first phase 1 of National Recovery Plan in preparation to reopen back the economy. And starting 1st April this year, Malaysia reopened its borders as a part of national move to transition into the endemic phase. As we know, pandemic COVID-19 affected economy globally. Same goes to Malaysia. Malaysian government respond this situation with fiscal expansionary policy and also stimulus packages. In these 2 years, 2020 and 2021, government announced about 8 stimulus packages to fight the impact of COVID-19. If I'm not mistaken, it's worth of $500 billion, and including the fiscal injection into the economy. And the government of Malaysia also announced the highest budget allocation in Malaysian history, where in 2021, for the year 2021, the budget amount is 322.5 billion, and for 2022, this year, the budget amount is 332.1 billion. In order to come up from the pandemic COVID-19, focus should be given also to the vaccination program, and government alternatively looking for other internal resources to fund a procurement of vaccine. The procurement of vaccine was funded by National Trust Fund, which is one of the national sovereign fund. The successful in the vaccination program is a key to reopen the economy and Malaysian economy recovery as a whole. Okay. During the pandemic, making sure the Treasury operation continues is one of the important things to do. But the challenge was everybody will have to work from home. How to make sure that the work from home work effectively? And all this lies on how those involved in the Treasury can adapt to the new ways of doing things where normally physical meeting would be preferred. Online meeting become usual, sharing information and communication was more highlighted in this situation, and allowing officers to bring back home office PC and laptop will be given to and also given them access to the system remotely from home, make the work from home effective. To enhance internal coordination in Treasury, one of initiatives taken to enhance internal coordination in Treasury is to increase the frequency of cash flow meeting. The cash flow committee meetings that govern Treasury operation and monitoring cash flow in Ministry of Finance is chaired by the Secretary General of Treasury, and members of the meetings are from Budget Office, Fiscal Office, central bank, tax authorities, and accountant general departments as a secretariat to the meeting. Normally, the meeting, the cash flow committee meetings meets in a monthly basis, but during the pandemic, we have to meet it on weekly basis. This is to help to allow the management and the relevant parties to update with the current status of, and relevant parties update with the current status of financial position and the cash level, and also help to make a better decision. We also believe that all this while, manager in Treasury always work together, but during the pandemic, the coordination between debt managers, cash managers, and budget managers have been increased and highlighted. It is due to the some decision no longer can be made by one party, but must be a collaborative decision making. And the communication planning. The use of technology is vital during the COVID-19 crisis. The communication among Treasury members through email, video call, phone call, WhatsApp, and etc. allows sharing information seamlessly. Sometimes emails or text messaging were not enough to discuss that always physical do before. So video call become a common in the periods of the crisis, and it become of most effective ways in communicating and sharing information. There were sometimes when decision from management needs to be executed immediately. The communication plan to those, especially at ground level, I mean at the accounting office and also at spending unit, needs to be established and reliable. The other points to be taken were the availability of reporting. Financial report needs to be produced as usual or even more during the crisis because of the needs of information for decision making. The involved in preparing report was identified and given the priorities in terms of accessing to the system or facilities needed. Lines of backup team also established in order to make sure that the reports continues. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused a significant deterioration in cash management. Containment measures, increase in government spending, and also postponement in monthly tax submissions by some parts of tax that have been allowed to postpone, have driven significant impact to the government cash flow. Cash forecasting become important to measure what will happen in the future. The maturity of cash forecasting practice will result in a better decision making and continuity of business operation. Tax authority play a significant role in the cash forecasting. Quantifying amount of shortfall in the tax revenue collection will help Treasury in the planning and matching their commitment. Allowing tax authority to update a new targeted figure as well as a monthly forecast collection from time to time will help in the planning for payment disbursement. And depending on the usual resources of income, were not enough to cope the increase of commitment during the crisis. As I mentioned before, government looked for alternative and used National Trust Fund, the sovereign funds, for the procurement of vaccines. Monitoring the cash flow during the pandemic cannot be done as before. The fluctuation of commitment was high and the urgency of some payment were not allowed for any delays. So cash forecasting required to be reviewed on daily basis in order to make sure that all requirement was put in the planning. With the limited resources in the an increase in commitment at particular time, not all payment will be able to process immediately. We have to prioritize our payment to require urgent payment can be paid first. Payments such as salaries and debt payments to pay on time, and some other payments can be paid later or suspended, such as a grant to the statutory body. Since the government payment process will help 99% through online payment, there is no much issue for us to continue the payment during the pandemic. However, we have improved in terms of bank arrangements, where we have successfully made some arrangement with a few commercial banks to remunerate balances at the current account as good as a month of fixed deposits. This allows us to increase the cash buffer in order to cope the uncertainties during the pandemic. Some lessons learned that we can get from this crisis. First is to review and update business continuity plan. I believe every departments have a business continuity plan documentation. So to review and update business continuity plans in the emergence of various infectious variants has increased. Series of MCO were never been imagined and unprecedented before. Ministry and department should take this opportunity to update their business continuity plan documentation on this situation. So it will help us in preparing ourselves for any difficulties ahead. A large scale of work from home should be considered as a part of our business continuity plan, especially focused in the issues of like internet access, ICT facilities, digital documentation, and also access to the Treasury systems remotely. The other lesson learned that we can get is from the benefits of, in the area of benefit of TSA and the centralized IFMIS. We have improved the TSA. We know that the importance of TSA is more highlighted during the crisis. With TSA, the visibility of cash position at the real time will materialize and benefits in decision making. Monitoring day-to-day cash will be easier with the TSA. We also take the opportunity to discuss with the bank to increase remuneration from bank balances for sub-TSA account. In 2018, Malaysians have moved to the new accounting system. It's called IGFMAS, Integrated Government Financial Management Accounting System. These systems allow integration with many other systems within the governments and also with a bank. It is a centralized system and consolidated transaction at one place. During the pandemic, the requirement for financial reporting remained as usual, or even more for decision making. Having a centralized IFMIS were helpful in preparing the financial report during the pandemic. And changing plan on payment or distribution can be made without hesitation, since having the facility to access the cash at HQ level, I mean having a TSA, and also centralized system that can overview the whole process end to end. The other lesson learned is how to improving the online payment or receipt. As I mentioned before, we achieved 99% online payment, but not for the receipt. There is a lot of room to improve in our receiving. Currently, at 60% of our receipt is a online receipt. It means that 40% are still over the counter. During the pandemic, the counter was forced to close. So this pandemic proved that moving to the online receiving will help us in the future. So currently, our department's accountant general is working on the new system called iPayment that will implement at the responsibility level in order to boost up the percentage of online receipts at the responsibility level. Accepting digital document in payment process. We have already accepted the digital document for the payment process for long time ago. But during the pandemic, when the work from home become a new ways of working, there are some improvement and adjustment made on this issue, especially at the spending unit level. On the other hand, some of our audit process also been conducted through online. it is open for more exploration on this concept even after pandemic. Breaking down the silos, collaboration, problem solving, and quick response. As I mentioned before, the managers work together more cooperatively during the pandemic. We noticed that collaboration between managers in Treasury become effective. It translates to the quick response and faster in the solving problem that accounted. And I believe investing in people and technology before was paid for. It will be difficult if we are facing this crisis when we have a limitation in terms of technology. And of course, we cannot stop here. There will be much more room for improvement in terms of investing the technologies to our treasury system in order to make sure that better service delivery in the future. And in conclusion, pandemic COVID-19 brought us so many problems and also difficulties. It is unprecedented. We experienced many problems before, such as SARS, MERS before, but the damages is not like what we happened during this pandemic COVID-19. But towards the end, we should realize that it's also bring us an opportunity for us to review and improve. The recovery process is still continue, and we should not rest on the laurel. We must take steps to improve in order to achieve a better treasury services. With that, I end my service. Thank you.